This plant is way less maintenance than an actual bird. Let's talk about Strelitzia. What's up, fellow plant enthusiasts? My name is Dylan and this is Bane's Botanicals. Today we're going to be talking about Strelitzia, also known as the bird of paradise. Now it gets that common name from the flowers. If you've ever seen a bird of paradise flower, it actually looks like the head of a bird of paradise. I'll get a picture in here for you guys so you can see one. They don't really flower that readily indoors. They really have to have the right conditions. And even then, there are certain species that won't flower indoors ever. As far as the genus itself, it's a pretty unique genus in that there are only 5 species. And there are only 2 of those species that are usually grown indoors. And that's going to be Strelitzia nicolai and Strelitzia Reginae, I believe it is. Nicolai is the white bird of paradise, and Reginae is the orange and sometimes yellow bird of paradise. The orange one is the one that will actually flower, indoors. You could get the white one to flower if you had like an arboretum, like someplace that gets just constant direct sun all the time. And we can see that these plants actually do need a lot of light. This plant is actually taller than it looks. If we kind of pull this down a little bit, this plant has narrower leaves, and I've had this one outside most of the summer, and it still just has kind of narrow leaves, which I like. I kind of like that look a little bit. I have another one outside that has really wide leaves. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do with it when I bring it indoors for the season, because it's really big. And at the time of this video, it is the beginning of September. So I kind of need to figure that out soon. Anyway, what were we talking about? But we can see just by the shape of the leaves that they need a lot of light. They are used to being outside in the tropics, taking direct sun all day long. And this is a plant that can actually take direct sun. You have to acclimate it, of course. Don't just buy it and stick it outside. Acclimate it a little bit, but it can take it. If you're going for the tropical look in your home, this is a better alternative to things like Musa, the banana tree, which really doesn't do that well. Musa it's not very successful indoors. Watch my video on Musa. But this is a good accent with like your palms, and this plant is honestly pretty easy to take care of. But before we get to that, let's get to this. Here is the taxonomy information for Strelitzia. And as you can see, we are in the family Strelitziaceae. I don't exactly remember the story, but Strelitzia was named for a queen, I believe. And when they discovered the plant, she got the honors of being named after it. So, like I said, it's something like that. But it's a cool name, good for them for naming it that, because I like it. And Strelitziaceae is actually in the order Zingiberales, which is the same order that contains Marentaceae, so like the prayer plants. So there's a little bit of similarities there. Anyway, I'm trying to think if I have anything else interesting about Strelitziaceae before I go into the care. I just think they're really cool plants. I don't believe, well, I think the one I have outside is a white one, and this is a yellow one, which is the same species as the orange. I think they've just kind of cultivated it differently. But yeah, so as far as care goes, they need bright, sometimes direct light if you can give it to them. Like, you can sit this thing in the sunniest window you have and it's going to be successful. Yeah, just it needs bright light. I mean, you can get away with like bright indirect light, but if you put it in like medium or low light, it's going to get very, very leggy. Like, these leaves are going to become very thin, the stalks will become very thin. It's not going to look very pretty, so just make sure you give this thing as much light as you can give it. As far as watering goes, it likes to be watered regularly. It is a tropical plant. It's used to pretty consistent rainfall. Now, you can let it dry out, just don't let it stay dry. Like, just let it dry out and then water it. Give it a good soak. Just make sure you're doing that probably maybe once a week, depending on the size of the plant. You might pull back a little bit in the wintertime when it's cold, but in general, these like water. Now, in addition to that, it likes well-draining soil. I've got mine in a regular houseplant soil. I don't have it in anything like super fast draining, but if I remember when I potted this one, I did crumble up just a little bit of orchid bark just for that extra drainage. Because you don't want it to drain so fast that it dries out all the time, right? Like this thing still needs to have a little bit of moisture retention, because imagine what it's like in the tropics, right? It rains frequently, it dries out frequently. So we want to mimic that as much as we can. This one is in a terracotta pot, just because, you know, I like terracotta pots. Not always. I'm trying to branch out. I know you guys can't see right now. Sorry, Christian. But yes, and then as far as humidity goes, it likes humidity. It's not necessary to give it humidity, but it appreciates it, especially in the wintertime when it's drier in the house. I think this benefits a lot from like the pebble tray method. I usually have humidifiers going anyway in the wintertime, so Strelitzia really likes that. And then fertilize it regularly. I fertilize it twice a month in the growing season, and then not at all in the dormant season, late fall, winter, early spring. But yeah, because this thing is it's kind of a prolific grower, honestly. Strelitzia grows, in my experience, Strelitzia grows pretty regularly. Now, it doesn't grow as fast as like a vining philodendron or something that's just putting out new leaves all the time. But since my big one's been outside, I think I've gotten at least 3 or 4 leaves on it, and it's been out there for 2 months, possibly 3 months. And I mean, they're big leaves. Like, they're getting to the point where they're like big leaves. So I'm excited for that, but again, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. But yeah, I think that's about all I have about Strelitzia. I don't want to say it's my favorite plant, but it's up there because I love the tropical look. I love trying to bring the tropics in a little bit just because I love the beach, and I'm so far from the beach. It doesn't really get much further from the beach than where I live, so that's okay though. That's why I love my plants, right? Now, if it were possible to have all 5 species of Strelitzia as houseplants, I would probably do that. But really, the other 3, they're kind of like Musa, right? They're better suited to be outdoors. They need that direct sun. They need that appropriate amount of humidity and water consistently, so they just don't do very well. But I love that Strelitzia is pretty easygoing. So I think if you guys don't have one already, find one. Just be prepared for it to get big. They get tall. So just kind of ready yourself for that. But they are definitely a striking feature in your home. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I've been waiting to do this one for a little bit. I hope you guys are enjoying everything. I've really been enjoying our live streams together. Well, it's not autumn yet, but whatever. The pumpkin's already out. Happy pumpkin season to everybody. And until the next video, I will see you guys very soon. Thank you.